One eye brimming with tears, looking at two lines indicating that her Jungkook child is growing in her womb. She smiled through her tears and gently touched her stomach. My baby, you are coming in our small world. Come soon, baby. Your dad will be very happy when he comes to know about you. She caresses her stomach. She sat on the bed, but what will I do if he continued to ignore me? She pouted. Why are you doing this, Cook? It's 1 week that you talked to me. I didn't even know what happened to you. Her thought drifted toward the memories. Wine and Jungkook had love marriage, so their family cut all their ties with them. But both of them were really happy in their lives, and everyone get jealous seeing their love for each other. But everything changed since the last week. He got a transfer and now they are in Seoul. One was waiting for him. It's past 10 and he didn't come yet. She dialed his number once again and got the same reply which she's getting from last 1 hour. Switch off. She was about to walk out of the house to seek help from their neighbor. His car entered through the gate. He just stood there, an expressionless face, but why know from his that he's tired and frustrated with something. I was busy with that. He walked inside, leaving a plate. She rushed behind him. Let me heat your food, Cookie. You must be tired, she said. He didn't even look at her face. I already had my dinner from office. He went to washroom as he doesn't want to say anything further. One stood rooted at the place. She slowly walked toward the kitchen and kept all the food in refrigerator. She didn't feel like eating anything. When she came to the room, he was already sleeping. She too lay beside him and continued to stare at his face. Slowly, sleep took over her. It's been 1 week that they have talked something. Whenever she came to talk, Jungkook ignored her and pretended as he is busy. He left for office before she wake up and came really late and directly went to sleep without paying any attention to her. She caresses her stomach. How will I tell your dad about you, my baby? She smiled. You don't worry, Mama is here. She had her dinner and waited for him. As the time was getting close to midnight, his car entered the house. He walked inside without even looking at her. He changed his clothes and went for getting fresh. When he came out, he was stunned to see Wine already lying on the bed. He marked his shock and expression and lay beside her. She turned toward him and told, hold his shirt button. Cookie, she called. Let me sleep, Wine. I don't have time to waste. I am really tired, he said while his eyes were still closed. Cookie, I want to tell you something, she owns again. I said let me sleep, Wine. This time his voice was firm and weak as if he is controlling himself. Cookie, she took his hand and placed it on her stomach. Cookie, but she stopped it when he withdrew his hand with the force. He sat on the bed and looked at her with orange-filled eyes. "Can't you understand this much? I said I won't sleep. I don't have time to. Can't you think other than, please leave me alone. I need some peace," he said, and lay back on the bed, facing his back toward her. Tears started to roll down from her eyes. She whispered painfully. She touched her stomach and so escaped from her mouth. She quickly got up from the bed, and when she saw he closed his ear to stop her voice. She lay on the recycle and her mind went back hearing his accusation. What happened to her Cookie? He wasn't like this before. She took a deep breath and she won't disturb him anymore. She presses her stomach. Don't worry, baby. I won't separate you from your dad. Definitely something is troubling your dad. That's why dad is showing his frustration on us. But Mama will not forgive him soon. Whenever your dad said today hurts me a lot. You are also in my team. Let's teach a lesson to your dad, she said in very low whisper. Next morning, alarm started to ring, making Jungkook open his eyes. He turned to left side of the bed to see Wine, but soon as a fond place on his face, not finding her, slowly a steady event came to his mind. With the sign, he shifted his gaze toward the recycle. She wasn't there also. He checked the time. It was 5 in the morning. She never wake up this early. He got up from the bed and was about to search for her. That when he heard the sound of washing dishes, he followed the sound and stood in the entrance of the kitchen. She was busy washing dishes with her eyes and face were fluffy because of continuous crying. His heart pained at the sight of her. He went near her. While he called, she turned toward him. What, Cookie? I'm not feeling right now. You don't have to waste your time, she said sarcastically. He felt a lump in his throat hearing her word. He knew that whatever she's saying, it's because of the painful word yesterday. He clumped and tried to form the courage. Wine just ignored him and continued to wash the dishes. He was about to speak that when he heard the sound of his phone ringing. Without saying anything, he rushed toward their bedroom. She looked at him, going from the corner of her eye. She pouted and continued her. Jungkook get ready and came to dining room. His breakfast and coffee was there on the table. He looked around for a while. She is nowhere to see. His phone ringed once again, making him gone in irritation. He picked up the call. I will be there in 10 minutes. He quickly drank the coffee and walked out without bothering to have breakfast. Wine is watching all this from kitchen. Unknown fear occurred in her mind. She clutched her dress. One phone rang with the unknown number. She picked up the call, forming, hello, this is from the Central Police Station. Do you know one Mr. John? Mr. Jungkook, a rough voice said from the other. She panicked hearing his word. He's my husband. What happened, sir? Is he alright? He went with a minor accident. Can you come to XYZ hospital? He said. She forgot to breathe for a moment. He's alright. Nothing happened to him. A so escaped from her mouth, even though she tried to control. Nothing to worry, madam, just some minor injury. You please come fast. We have some formality here, he said. I will be there in 30 minutes, sir. With that, she cut the call and rushed to get ready. All the time, her tears were flowing continuously. She made no attempt to wipe them. Within 5 minutes, she quickly changed her dress and went for the hospital. Mr. John Jungkook, she asked the receptionist, panting. Receptionist checked the computer. He is in room number 303, madam. Thank you. She ran toward his room. As soon as she entered the room, she witnessed the sight which she never wished to see her in life. He's lying on the bed with his eyes closed, his pain in evident for his expression. His right hand, along with his head and leg, were bandaged. She took a slow step toward him. He felt a familiar kind of wind, and he opened his eyes to see why, and her face is pale while her eyes were floppy because of continuous crying. The tip of her nose turned red. A small smile came to his lips to seeing her red nose. She took the seat beside him. How did this happen? Her voice strained with the pain while asking it. He lowered his eyes in a guilt. It was my mistake. My mind was filled with many things, so I didn't pay attention to road. Even after a few minutes, he didn't get any response from her, and that made him form. He turned to face her and find her staring him blank. When he started to talk, but she cut him. What's your problem? She asked. He found and her question. Seeing he's confused, she continued. From the past few days, you just ignore me like I didn't exist. When I try to say important thing in my life, you accuse me for. After you, Jungkook closed his eyes in pain, hearing her. You were irritating by anything that concerned me, and now you are here. Seems like you are fed up of me. He widened his eyes in fear. You don't need to punish yourself like this. I will go away from your life. You can live happily without any disturbance. She get up to leave, but he held her hand. When his voice choked at the end, she calmed down her emotion hearing his voice. It will be better for you, Cook. You don't need to renew your life for me, she said in composed voice. He didn't let her. Can you give me 10 minutes, Wine? I want to say everything. After hearing it, you can take any decision you want, he said, pleading voice. She took a deep breath and sat beside him. 1 week ago, there was a adulting in the company. 1 crore rupees was found to be missing, and unfortunately, it was from my section. She kept hearing. Somebody very close to me had done this. Boss had given me a deadline of 2 weeks to repay money, otherwise I will be in jail. Or I need to find the real culprit. I don't want to make you tense. That's why I didn't say anything. I was afraid that if I talk to you, then I can't hide it. So I kept aloof. I was really busy in finding culprit because I know 1 crore rupees is really impossible for us to pay back. He said, looking. She just stared at him without blinking. Then what about yesterday? Did you really thought about me like that? That he closed her mouth to stop her to say anything further. I am sorry, Vine. I'm really sorry. His eyes turned more. Yesterday I met Jimin's grandmother died 2 months ago. Wine, he said in a joke voice. Even that time of that, she was really angry on me for marrying you. She said she don't want to see me again. Even after her death, he began to cry remembering it. She hugged him tightly. She knew what grandma meant to him. She was the one who look after him when his parents die, but she never accepted their marrying, saying she is from a poor family and their caste were also different. Jungkook continued after composing himself. After hearing everything from Jimin, I don't know what comes to my mind. I was really disturbed. I need to be alone, but I couldn't because you were alone at home and your safety is more important than anything. But he wasn't able to say the next sentence. But what Cookie? She asked, raising his head. He lowered his eyes in shame. When I saw you, then grandmother face come to my mind. I was really angry, thinking that because of our marriage I lost my grandmother. That's why I said those feminist words when you touch me. One hand stopped pressing his head. She slowly moved away from him and looked at his face painfully. He immediately held her hand in his. I am sorry, Ryan. I'm really sorry. This won't happen ever again. Please forgive me for the last time, he said, pressing his head on their hand. She stared at him for a moment. All his words of yesterday came to her mind, making her freeze. But soon their lovely moment filled her mind. In their 3 years of married life, her never hurt her. He loved her more than anything and even sacrificed his empire and family for her. The hire of John is working on a company only for her. If he can do this much for her, why can't she forgive him for one time? She slowly and kissed his head. Jungkook lifted his head and looked at her. Seeing his face, she remembered a small baby shake up his cheeks. I am not angry with you. A bright smile formed in Jungkook's face, making her smile too. This time you escape from punishment. This won't happen again. Next time if you do something like this, my partner will beat you, she said with a mischievous. Seeing his confused, she took his hand and place it on her stomach. Our baby is waiting for you and talked to him personally. Jungkook looked at her blankly for a moment, hearing her word, but soon he started to smile like a magnet. He caresses her stomach. Our baby, he whispered while tears flowing from his eyes. He kissed her stomach. Daddy is really sorry, baby. I won't hurt your mama ever again. He turned to Ryan. You were trying to say this yesterday. I am so. She closed her ear and said, cutting him, please stop your sorry session, Jungkook. If you say sorry one more time, then I won't forgive you. She glared at him. He pouted hearing his word, but then he smiled and waved his hand as if welcoming her to hug him. Vine smiled brightly and hugged him. I am really lucky to have you in my life, Vine. Thanks for giving me such a great happiness, he said, kissing her head. You are my happiness, Jungkook. Thank you for loving me like this. She smiled at his chest and kissed him there. Both of them touched her stomach. Mama and Daddy is waiting for you, baby. We love you. Both of them looked at each other's face, feeling content and happy. Time stopped for. Their eyes locked, get disturbed by Dr. Entry. Both of them moved away from each other, embarrassed, and Wine looked down, blushing while a slight smile formed in Jungkook. How are you feeling, Mr. John? Is there any kind of uneasiness? Doctor asked, checking his pulse. I am fine, doctor. He replied with a smile. Doctor took the writing pad and from the nurse and wrote something on it. Your health is completely fine and if you want to, you can go home now. There is nothing to worry. Come after 7 days removing the stitch, doctor said. One folded her hand and sent a silent prayer to God. Jungkook and Doctor smiled at her reaction. Thank you, Doctor, he said. Doctor nodded his head and exited. Ma'am, you need to pay the bills before discharging. You can go to the receptionist. Reception nurse said to Ryan before leaving. He exited his wallet toward Ryan. He knew that she must have forgot to bring the money. Hearing about the accident, she looked at him stunned for a moment, thinking, how come he knows about it? Then the understanding smile from her lips. He knew her better than herself. She smiled and went to pay the bill. When she came back, he was buttoning his shirt to remove from his vest. She took the seat beside him. Oh, I forgot to ask. Did you find the culprit, Cookie? She asked. He signed. Yes, finally managed to find him today morning. Did you remember the call I got while leaving the house? It was Hawan. He is the one who found out the culprit for me, he said with a smile. But who did this, Cookie? Why did he try to frame you? She asked, still confused. It was done by Joey. Both of our names were selected for promotion, but I didn't knew about it, so try to defend me so that I will be excluded from the list. He made the security drunk and entered the office punching my ID card. His face was covered with the marks. We couldn't recognize him. You know me, I am not the one who gets set password. He used his trump card using my computer. He managed a transfer 1 crore. Obviously everyone blamed me, he said. Then how did Hawan Oppa came to know about this? She asked him. She can't imagine what must have happened in the culprit wasn't found. He smiled while checking the CCTV visual are very disappointed finding that he never removed the marks. His hands were also covered in the gloves and there was no hint revealing his identity. Then when Hawan said about checking the CCTV footage by near shop, but the result was disappointing. He didn't come by vehicle. He never removed the mask, still crossed the shop. Today morning, Hawan finally managed to find him. Joey removed his marks in front of a house near the shop. He didn't notice that nearby stall CCTV of that house. He said with a small smile. She too smiled, saying thanks to her God for saving. Wine came to their room getting fresh. She found seeing Jungkook lying on the bed, waiting for her. She raised her eyebrow. What are you doing here? She asked. He looked at her confused. What else? Sleeping. She folded her hand. For your kind information, you are going to sleep on the sofa for the next 2 weeks, she said seriously. What? He jumped from the bed and looked at her unbelievably. But you said you forgave me, he whispered. She smiled. Yes, I forgave you, but my baby didn't. When my baby came to say hi to his daddy, you hurt him. This is your punishment by my baby. He pouted. Will you forgive if daddy says sorry once again? No, baby want daddy to obey mama words. Otherwise, baby will be get angry. She took a pillow and blanket and handed it to him. Good night, daddy, she said and lay on the bed. He sang, cursing him once again. In his mind, he lay on the sofa with a pot making wine. Cookie, please open the door, she screamed from the hall, hearing the cell bell. Calling bell, he came from the kitchen, his apron a messy, and he looked at her with his hand on him. She smiled at him sweetly and continued drinking her juice. He held her ear. You are getting lazy day by day. She made a sound and tried to remove his hold. The bell rang once again and went to open the door, throwing the apron on the chair. He rolled his eyes, seeing his uncle, aunt, and Jimin standing there. Auntie pushed him away and entered the house. What? He followed her. She rushed to wine and touched her stomach. She tried to get up from the sofa, but aunt didn't let her. She turned to Jungkook. Jungkook, you guys are coming with us right now. I don't want to hear any excuse from the past 3 months, she said, glaring. He signed. I am happy here, aunt. You don't worry. We will come to stay there whenever you want, but I can't take over the John group, he said. Aunt pressed his shoulder. But why, son? Why are you still holding grandmother words? Aunt, grandma didn't want me to be part of John anymore. Then how can I? He said. Lala signed. Jungkook John Group was built by your dad. During our childhood, we were struggling to meet our needs, but your dad always said about building on empire, and finally he made it. He spent his 20 years making the company and topmost one in the country. He married only at the age of 42, only waited 10 years for brother. Both of them loved each other, but brother hoped to marry her only after he built his one empire. Maybe God always jealous of your dad, seeing him getting all the happiness when you were just 5 year old brother and only left the world in an accident. For then John Group was under your name, son. Me and grandmother has only power to authority to run the company until you take over it, he said. Jungkook was stunned most, hearing his word. He never knew that John Group was the dream of his dad. Your granny never want you to know all this. She never liked your mama much. I still don't know the reason, but she loved. Then why did she hide all things from me? He asked in a strained voice. She said that we will disclose everything to you when you are ready to take over the company. But you told Granny about your love for wine soon after your study, so she changed her decision. Then your marriage happened, and you know the rest of the story, baby. She made me promise on her life to not to tell anything to you, and I was also angry with you for spoiling the reputation of the family. If I didn't say, even now the brother and Unni will never forgive me. She cried at the end. He hugged her tightly. She was also crying, hearing all this. Lala hugged her. One more surprise waiting. He pointed toward the door. Mrs. Park and Mr. Park came inside with a smile. Wine rushed to them and hugged Mrs. Park tightly. I'm sorry, Mom. Please forgive me. Mrs. Park raised her head. Past is past. Wine. Forget all these. You shouldn't take any stress at this time. We are happy for you, she said with a smile. She turned to Mr. Park and hugged him tightly. Jungkook came to them and took their blessing. So it's decided, you two are coming with us right now, she announced. Jungkook signed and nodded his head. What he can say against now after hearing about his dead dream? Wine smiled happily seeing them. Finally, they got their family back. She hugged Jungkook, placed her head on his chest. Jungkook is walking in front of room continuously. It's been while that he's wine inside. He was getting restless. Lala and Mrs. Park giggled, seeing his expression, ending a glare from him. Mr. Park and Lala tried to calm him, but no, nothing worked. Then the nurse came out with a white bundle. Is there anyone related to John Wyan? She's my wife. Congrats, sir. You are blessed with a baby girl. Mother and daughter is fine. His eye turned glassy with the happiness. With shivering hand, he took the baby. As if knowing her father, she smiled slightly. He kissed her forehead. My Zoe.